Good afternoon, Fairfielders. I am Fairfield First Selectwoman Brenda Kupchik, and we are here today primarily to talk about access to our open spaces. While we've shared in the sacrifice of social distancing, I understand the frustration associated with our collective efforts to stop the spread of this deadly pandemic. I've read every email that you've sent and have spoken to many of you on the phone, and I know how difficult this has been for every resident in our town, especially those who work in our hospitals, our nurses, our doctors, our medical support staff, our first responders, and our EMS workers, all who are on the front lines caring for those who are sick from this virus. I want to also acknowledge our essential workers at our grocery stores and pharmacies who are working overtime in a stressful environment to ensure our residents have what they need to get through this national health emergency. This time in our shared history will not soon be forgotten. So many of our residents have lost their jobs, had to modify their businesses, or sadly had to shut their doors. Teachers and parents are facing a completely new world with virtual learning. There are many uncertainties facing us, and we are all doing the best we can. I know you are eager to return to normal, but we have to rely on the guidance of health professionals as we move forward. Medical professionals have advised that we can carry the COVID virus without any symptoms, which means that when you are out in public, you should assume that you have it or assume that everyone else has it. Wear a face covering and keep your distance. The good news is that we have seen a decrease in hospitalizations over the past 6 days in Connecticut and in Fairfield County. In Fairfield, we have flattened the curve. Our early efforts as a community to protect each other and stay apart has made a difference. But now is not the time to let our guard down. Positive trend lines are comforting, but we are not out of the woods quite yet. I've joined together today with some of the members of my emergency management team to share our town's restrictive protocols for access of our town spaces for our residents. I've been working as a member with our town's emergency management team to put together a detailed strategic plan that allows our community to utilize some of our recreational spaces and provide some respite to our residents. I ask that each member of our community listen to the guidance of our health director and adhere to the new protocols we are putting in place. I will invite our health director, Sans Cleary, to come up next, followed by Anthony Calabrese, the Fairfield Park and Rec Director, to discuss access to our open spaces, and then remarks from Police Chief Chris Liddy on enforcement.
Good afternoon. I'm Sans Cleary. I'm the director of the Fairfield Health Department. As of today, Fairfield has had 365 positive COVID-19 cases reported, sadly with 44 deaths occurring in Fairfield. Of those 365, 157 of them have reported recovering. I wanted today to make some brief remarks about COVID-19 activity in our area and some of the various data that we look at and review that leads to some of the decisions being announced today. We do review various national and state county level modeling data to give us a sense of where we are in the pandemic curve and some estimates of when restrictions might be able to be slowly lifted. Many of these models indicate that we are past the peak of hospital resource demands and past the peak of daily new deaths being experienced in this first wave of the pandemic. And while hospitals in our area did have significant demands placed on them, they were not overwhelmed. The estimates provided by these models are supported then by county, local, and state data that show that we are slightly past the peak. One of those is the state syndromic surveillance system that tracks outpatient and emergency room visits for flu-like activity. This same system is also being used by the state to track COVID-like activity since the symptoms are similar. This system clearly shows that the initial peak of flu season happened around the third week of February, then declined for about 4 weeks, and then till about mid-March, and then a 3-week increase was seen, which is most likely and largely due to COVID-19 activity. Then around the start of the second week in April, that increased till about the second week in April. And then, since then, there's been a 3-week steady decline in flu-like or COVID-like activity seen both at the emergency rooms and in outpatient settings. And these findings are largely mirrored by national trends that show the same type of trends. Next, we can look at local data, and we look at the number of laboratory-confirmed COVID-19 cases in Fairfield. Our data indicates that we saw a peak of activity between April 6th and April 14th, and since April 14th, the number of cases, new cases being reported each day has been trending downward. Much of this data that I'm sharing today can be found on the State Department of Public Health website, also on our data page for the town of Fairfield, which is fairfieldct.org/COVID-19 data. Another data source we look at is daily new hospitalization data. This data shows that both at the state level and at the Fairfield County level, that new hospitalizations have been decreasing steadily since mid-April. So all these findings that we have are shared at the command level meetings and are discussed there. And these findings support that the first wave of this peak is behind us for a few weeks now, most likely. And that now is a time we can start considering lifting some of the restrictions in a gradual, cautious manner. And again, we are lifting just some initial things right now, and we want to stress that we still need to continue for several more weeks of social distancing and practicing all the things that we've been doing up until this point. Right now, we're just returning back to a slightly less strict stance and allowing some additional activity to occur in town. And right now, I'll have Anthony Calabrese, the Director of the Recreation Department, come up and share the details of some of those changes.
Good afternoon. I'm Anthony Calabrese, Director of Parks and Recreation. I'm excited to announce that in conjunction with the emergency management team and the local health department, we are able to open some of our treasured open spaces on a restricted basis beginning Friday, May 1st. I will provide an overview of some of our larger and more popular locations today. First, I will start with our beaches. All 5 of our beaches on the Long Island Sound will be open for walking and exercising from sunrise to sunset for Fairfield residents. We will have reduced parking at Jennings, Southport, and Sasco beaches respectively. These 3 parking lots will be open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily. They will be monitored by law enforcement and parking staff to ensure that only cars parking in these lots have a valid 2020 Fairfield resident beach sticker. There will be no daily parking. Again, to park at these locations, you will need a valid 2020 Fairfield resident beach sticker. Once at the beaches, we encourage all patrons to actively walk on the beach. At this time, we will not be allowing beach blankets, chairs, grills, or any other beach items. All social distancing guidelines will remain in effect. Our 2 marinas, South Benson Marina and Yee Yacht Yard, will be open on a restricted basis. South Benson Marina will open Friday, May 1st for our boaters with a valid 2020 M sticker. The Ash Creek open space parking lot will be closed to the general public unless you have an M sticker. Yee Yacht Yard will also open Friday, May 1st to all Fairfield residents who have a valid 2020 Fairfield resident beach sticker. All social distancing guidelines will remain in effect. These 2 marinas will be monitored by law enforcement. Our golf courses. Our Carl Dickman Par 3 golf course and our H. Smith Richardson driving range will open on Friday, May 1st. Tee times for our Carl Dickman Par 3 golf course are required to be made in advance of playing and can be done so on our website, hsrgolf.com. We will not be allowing walk-up golfers at this time. The course will also be restricted to walkers only. We will not allow the use of golf carts at this time. H. Smith Richardson will be open as soon as our construction of the parking lot has been completed. Please check our website, hsrgolf.com for opening details and dates. When the course opens, it will require tee times in advance of playing and will be restricted to walkers only. We will not permit walk-up golfers. Our goal on the courses will be for you to arrive, play, and depart. All social distancing guidelines will remain in effect. Next, the walking trails at Lake Mohegan will be open starting Friday, May 1st, with restrictions. First, only those Fairfield residents with a valid 2020 Fairfield resident beach sticker or a driver's license with a valid Fairfield address will be permitted to park in the main lot. The main parking lot will have reduced parking and only be open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily. This parking lot will be monitored by law enforcement to ensure that the only cars parking in this lot are Fairfield residents. The parking lot on the Cascade side of the lake will remain closed. Once at the lake, we encourage residents to actively walk the trails. To those residents who would like to walk their dogs, you must keep them on leash while at the lake. All other social distancing guidelines remain in effect. Finally, for more details on locations that I did not cover during this presentation, please visit fairfieldrecreation.com. If you have a specific question, please email our staff at recsupport@fairfieldct.org. My staff will also be monitoring and updating a webpage daily that will give you an idea of what the parking lot status is before you venture out to our facilities. Please check fairfieldct.org/parking capacity before you visit us. Thank you for your attention, and now I turn it over to our Chief of Police, Chris Liddy.
Thank you, and good afternoon. We hope that everyone is staying safe and healthy during these difficult times. The town's decision to reopen certain areas for passive recreation is a positive step as we all try to resume some of the regular activities we all enjoy. However, we must remember to still practice proper physical distancing to slow the spread of COVID-19 virus. Also, any vulnerable or high-risk individuals are strongly advised to avoid these public spaces until further notice. The facilities that these outdoor spaces will have, we will have staff on hand to make sure proper public health guidelines are being followed. As Mr. Calabrese has mentioned, items such as coolers, beach chairs, blankets, and alcoholic beverages are prohibited. It is important to stress that all occupancies, locations, municipal services, or businesses previously closed by the town of Fairfield or by the governor's executive orders shall remain closed unless otherwise announced. As always, the Fairfield Police remains fully staffed and operational and ready to serve the residents of Fairfield in whatever capacity is needed. The decision for a soft opening in some spaces was data-driven, but behind this data is you, our beloved residents. The vast majority of you have done the right thing for the right reasons and helped protect our community by flattening the curve and brought us to this very first step. We are thankful, but we are not out of the woods yet. How you use these newly open spaces is vitally important to you, to us, to your neighbors, and your loved ones. Please continue to make prudent and cautious decisions on how best to protect your families and all of us in the town of Fairfield. Thank you, and be safe.
When I took office last November, this certainly was not what I imagined I would be doing as your first selectwoman. But I am incredibly proud of the team we have assembled for their professionalism and the thoughtful approach taken by all. Fairfield is extremely lucky, and I know I'm a bit biased, but it is far best town in the entire state of Connecticut. I want to personally thank Chief Liddy, Sans Clary, Anthony Calabrese, and our entire emergency management team, including our director, Chief Dennis McCarthy, and all of our residents for doing your part. My hope is that Fairfield residents will enjoy the reopening of some of our spaces and utilize them in a safe and respectful way. It's important to remain diligent in following the CDC guidelines while using our public spaces because this virus is so incredibly contagious, and any one of us could have it without symptoms. The last thing we want to do is have us revert backwards because of a spike of infections. Parents, please make sure that your children understand this responsibility. It is not to be taken lightly. Our men and women in the Fairfield Police Department will be out enforcing as they have been, and I hope that we can all continue to perform our civic responsibility to each other. We will get through this together. I want to close by saying that the Fairfield Relief Fund is still accepting donations to help eligible residents impacted by COVID-19, and we have raised over $50,000. And I want to thank the Levinson family for their recent $5,000 matching gift. I will be sending a newsletter out shortly with all the information from this press conference. Thank you and be well, and I hope we all enjoy our open spaces coming this Friday.